Hi, I'm Preacher Paul, and I'm your host for the Magic in the Attic podcast. And this is our first ever episode. We're working through the kinks of recording a podcast, but we got a good conversation today. We talked about simulation theory and whether it's compatible with Christianity. We talked about maybe Trump being the last president, maybe. We talked about whether movies about race are good for our society. And we went through our favorite singer-songwriters, making our singer-songwriter Mount Rushmore. So it's a pretty good episode. Stay tuned to the Magic in the Attic. You never know what magic you might find.
The magic in the attic is back at it again. You just chill into the rhythm, and then the beat comes in. Sit right back and just have a good time.
Don't talk about it, so just
Paul,
record.
Go ahead
Okay,
and
go
introduce us, Paul. Oh my
I'm
goodness.
so sorry, everybody.
Paul.
I'm like, I
Are
feel
you
so
are you
terrible.
recording?
Yeah, I'm recording,
Okay.
but I just feel stupid.
You're
You
fine.
should,
It's okay.
dude.
You're the only one who
All right,
hasn't messed
friends.
up yet. It's okay.
This is the Magic in the Attic podcast. After an abortive first attempt at a podcast, here we go again. I am your host, Preacher Paul. Midnight Mark is also here with us. We got JBM, Juice Box McGee. We got Piano Man. We got Red, Lola, Lola, Red. And we were having a great discussion about simulation theory and whether or not the Bible supported it. And we lost all that because Piano Man didn't hit record. It's fine. We all make
Drop
mistakes.
the ball.
We'll eventually forgive you for this.
That's right. Midnight Mark also
But-
listed every Queen song before their sixth album.
Midnight Mark
Forgot
did
about that.
legitimately.
true.
Yeah. It's
is
really.
true.
It's honestly. It was God's will. It was part of the simulation that we lose that because Midnight Mark did list every Queen song.
We can come back to
no,
those topics in a few months.
Yeah. Red brought up a passage. What was the passage again? Red.
So I'm actually going to read Walker's passage
Wait, can you
first.
restate the
Should
question?
we at least
restate
like,
the
give
question.
the baseline of
Well,
simulation?
yeah.
Yes.
The question that we discussed was, does the Bible support simulation theory? Can we make our worldview as Christians work with simulation theory? So, yeah.
Paul
So-
or Walker. Sorry,
Yes.
Piano Man. Do you want to explain this a little
Yeah,
bit
so-
to us yet
so-
again?
Yes, sorry about that. It's my fault because I forgot to click record. But so simulation theory is the thought that as technology progresses and we can create a simulation that's very similar to our world, almost identical, you can't prove that we're not in a simulation because once it exists, you can't prove that we're the first ones to experience it. So we have passages in the Bible from like Revelation 20 and Isaiah 55 that talk about new heaven and new earth. And so if you have a new heaven and new earth that are created after this world is destroyed, can you prove that this is the first time that a new heaven and new earth have been created? And so that's the discussion that we were having. So go ahead, Redbeard.
Okay, so I'll read the three passages to just put it in a little bit of context for us. The first one comes from Isaiah chapter 65 and verse 17. And Isaiah writes, "See, I will create new heavens and a new earth. The former things will not be remembered, nor will they come to mind." It goes on in verse 18, "But be glad and rejoice forever in what I create, for I will create Jerusalem to be a delight and its people a joy." So that's the first passage that Piano Man had talked about, and the second passage comes from Second Peter chapter 3, and in verse 13. "But in keeping with his promise, we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth where righteousness dwells." Keeping that in mind, we have one more, and that's from Revelation 21. And oh shoot, I lost the verse. So anyway, I believe, and I'm not trying to take Preacher Paul's job, But Preacher, you did have a great point in our last podcast that we didn't record, thanks to Piano Man. If you want to bring that up, go right ahead while I look for this next verse. All right.
Yeah, all I was saying is that, especially in regard to the verse in Revelation, like anytime you have figurative language in the Bible, or language that's like poetic or evocative, like it's best to interpret it as simply as you can. So I was just saying that for an ancient person, new heaven would have represented the place where people live, the earth, the ground. That's what earth would have represented. Obviously, heaven represents the sky, the expanse, everything that we don't understand. So on like the most basic level, it means we will have a new place to live, a new place to dwell, and there will be sort of open possibility, open space, so to speak, in this new spiritual
But didn't
existence we have.
JBM have something about the rapture just now?
Oh,
Yeah,
but real
just a
quick, I will
JVM
say
comment.
that Paul, your point is actually very well brought out in Revelation 21, and I feel like an idiot because it's verse 1. Go figure.
Yeah.
Then I saw, John speaking, then I saw a new heaven and a new earth, for the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. So that is the verse that Paul was bringing to context. Anyway, yes,
Cool.
JBM. Go
Then
ahead,
I guess
dude.
go ahead.
I mean, I was just asking. I kind of feel this is going to be really, really weird for a podcast starting in the middle of a conversation for the first topic of all time.
No, this is
What do I
fine.
know?
It's
But I was asking if Walker's simulation theory, did it have anything to do with the rapture? Like the people who are taken from here are put onto said new earth.
Yeah, no, I think that this earth is destroyed, right? So, I mean, I can't say no 100%, but like, if this earth's destroyed, I imagine it's a totally new environment. I mean, I don't know what happens to me per se exactly. I know there are some passages that kind of speak towards like judging the nations and things, but I'm not 100% sure. I know you're with God in a sense, so
So you take a lot of those scriptures like literally. I mean,
What are we specifically talking
from
about?
from what I've gathered, the conversations we've had, here recently and in the past, that you tend to take like scripture, like all scripture, as like literal, rather than like some of it can be figurative or like some of it can be vision. You know what I mean? Because I mean, I think what Red is saying and what JBM is saying is that this whole new earth thing doesn't mean a new physical earth, that the earth that we're on is heaven that we live in with God. And so, but you're saying that it has to be a brand new rock that is created, and then it is re-simulated number 2, and that we might be simulation number 10,000, we might be simulation number 500, we might be the first one, but again, you can't assume you're the first one. But
Real quick, since we are re-recording, I'm sorry, Piano Man. I'll drop it now. But since we are kind of recording this, let me just say in the last spot, I brought up the point that I believe that the Bible is a complete, perfect Word of God, and I don't believe it's going to be duplicated, replicated, or has it had something that's been nothing has came before it. I think that the Bible is going to
Besides
be, and
the old law before
is,
the new law?
well, the Bible includes that. I mean,
what
Bible
about,
is.
what about John 7, 1 through 11, that nobody knows where it
Anyway,
came from?
let's not get in the weeds with this. But I'm just saying that would mean that if we are a simulation, that means there's been plenty of Bibles. There's been more Bibles. There's been other words of God, like legitimately, and there will be more. And if that's the case, then it's not the perfect. It's not the complete, because there
I
are
disagree
others,
with you,
and
though,
that's my
there.
whole point.
Yeah, I do disagree with that, because if they were for other, like literally other planets and other galaxies, then they would have nothing to do with us, and it wouldn't matter to us. It
I
would
don't
only
think
matter
so,
to
because
God.
Jesus
listen.
Christ came to
do.
die for mankind, for all of mankind. That's
For
on
mankind.
this timeline.
But you're
For
assuming that
mankind.
whatever
But I'm not-
would exist
I'm
out
saying
in outer
mankind
space would be,
as a
If there's
whole.
life on Andromeda, that doesn't mean that they're mankind.
No. Listen, if
Do you,
this,
J-
if I
JVM
believe-
agrees with me. I feel like this is insane.
I believe that the Bible is everything you said for this heaven and earth. If this is destroyed, then I don't think that is true anymore.
yeah.
It
I
has
do
to
think
be though, because the Bible says
doesn't
that
have
it
to
is a
be.
perfect, complete word for mankind.
Right, but
Yes.
everything's destroyed. You start again. Why would you have the same exact document?
I do
because
think
the
I
Well,
Bible
agree.
would be false. The
because
Bible would-
John, because if you're taking it as literal, then John is seeing the new earth, which means that John exists within the old earth and the new earth, which means that the current law has to apply to the next law.
I agree with that.
What?
That's
Right?
I think that's good. I think that's a good point, because he saw that.
No,
new
you
heaven
guys
and
have
new earth.
lost me here. Like, I think I do agree with Walker more in that, like, I'm not into limiting.
Piano Man.
I do
Dude,
think
Piano
I'm with
Man is literally changing Paul into a skeptic.
No.
A realist.
A
Okay.
theorist, you mean?
No.
A theorist.
No, listen, it has nothing to do with theorizing. I'm really not interested in all that. I just am uncomfortable with limiting what God can do in any way, really. And so when you
agree
talk
with
about
that.
there's no way that God could, when you talk about there's no way that there could be life.
I
in
don't
other
think he
parts of
means
the
there's
universe.
no way. I think he means
Yeah.
that he doesn't believe that God has done that.
Well,
I don't
yeah,
think,
that's
I
a
don't think
different
he's
that's a
questioning
different
the
thing.
ability. Yeah.
That's a different thing. But it definitely is a possibility that God has done almost anything. I mean, yeah. And the new heaven and new earth, I sort of apply the same thing. It's like it definitely has a certain spiritual meaning that I would feel comfortable with teaching, which is that we'll have a new existence. But it could literally mean what Walker's saying, that there will be a new rock. I kind of don't think so, because it doesn't make sense even on the level of the simulation theory, because if it's a simulation, then the rock we live on now isn't even real. So I mean,
Wait, how does it make it not real?
I mean, in that, like, it is not real in the sense that we think of it as being real, as like formed over time. All right, people are getting bored. We can talk about some of this stuff more next week.
Okay,
or
real
not,
quick, I
'cause
will
I
think-
really,
this is
I
a
mean, I'm not
interesting
getting bored. I love
topic.
I
this
think it's a
topic.
great. I
love
think
it.
it's a great question, Paul, and I think we all
Yeah.
are doing a great job trying to explain it. But I will say, I think we should study the people that don't understand it, like myself, simulation theory, and then needs to kind of review a little bit more of the context itself, and maybe
Word.
come back to it later. Am I right with
Yeah,
everyone
yeah,
there?
As long as I can open your eyes to different thoughts. The whole reason that this came
You
up was
always
because
do.
of a sermon.
You always do,
was
Piano
because
Man.
of a sermon
Yeah.
that someone did take it literally, and I was like, if you're going to take
Yeah.
it literally, then you have to say that you have to agree this can't be the first time it's happened, or you can't assume this is the first time it's happened. If you're going to take,
I
it
do
literally,
agree with that.
It's got to.
I do agree with that.
It's going to happen
Right.
again, and again and again, infinity.
Yeah. All right. Well, it would have been good. It was the podcast that never happened. R.I.P. that lost conversation. But
I can't believe we seriously waited like 2 weeks to have this talk because of all the things that have happened. We finally have it, and it's. I love
hurt.
it.
It
I
would
love
be
hurt
on the
by it,
first
honestly.
episode too.
It's a perfect pilot
did y'all-
episode of
Hey,
the
what did y'all
podcast
think-
about nothing.
What did y'all think happened when I was like threw down my headphones and walked away?
I thought you might
When
have a
you-
medical
when-
emergency of some kind.
So
Or your
when
dog
you
did something really bad.
Yeah,
I thought
so
you were
when
watching
fir-
the Georgia Tech game at the corner of your eye and something happened.
Man, that was
That was
last week. I
yesterday,
looked up on
and
Louisville.
it was bad. Yeah, it was awful.
So when
I
you
turned it
so
off
when
at
you
the-
first got
after
up, I
halftime.
thought maybe something like that, like you saw something or heard something and you like didn't, you were just having a reaction. But when you slapped the wall, I was like, I literally thought, I bet we're not recording. Like it was so.
All right, so
So
it is
perfect.
now time for, I guess, our last segment. I mean, I guess we're still trying to do segments like this is
Go.
a real thing. I was just hoping we could just screw around and talk about how everybody has coronavirus in our government, and then we could maybe talk about, I don't know, Antifa shot a Trump guy in the head.
No, not politics,
today.
man. Let's go back to Queen. I'm just kidding.
Let's go back to. I'm tired of. Man, I'm done.
Were there no
with
good
the Queen
questions
discussion.
submitted to you?
Okay, here's a good question though. Here's a good question that maybe Midnight Mark can take off on. This is something I've been thinking about. Who is the better songwriter, Dylan or Hank Williams?
Tom Waits.
Okay, no. If you're not capable of this binary choice, no, I love Tom Waits, but I'm saying like
garden.
I love Tom Waits, but I'm saying like leaving him out of the discussion. Like who is the better lyricist, Bob Dylan or Hank Williams? Because I feel like I used to tell everybody that Bob Dylan was the greatest songwriter of the 20th century, but the more I listen to Hank Williams, the more I'm like, no, I think it was actually Hank Williams. And he just doesn't get any credit because all of his songs kind of sound the same. But I feel like probably like line for line, the best songwriter for my money.
So
Maybe
I've got no
Midnight
dog
Mark.
in this fight because I don't
Yeah.
listen to either of them. So
No,
y'all
that's a
can
mistake.
take it away.
I think if you listen to the song Desolation Row and you still think that Hank Williams is a better lyricist than Bob Dylan, then I mean you can argue the whole without Hank Williams Sr. there is no Bob Dylan because he kind of created that Western folk style of writing.
Right.
But I mean,
But Desolation Row lyrically though is very maximalist. Like it's like 11 minutes long and it's a ton of words and long lines. Whereas Hank Williams is almost always going for like brevity, simplicity, and like he achieves that like pretty perfectly every time, I think. So like I think it's just a different effect that they're going for in some cases. But then there are times when Dylan tries to go for that brevity thing too, and he doesn't do it as well as Hank Williams, I think. What does Piano Man think? Or is this a bad question? I don't know. Maybe I'm the only one that likes songwriters.
Tom
like
Waits.
I mean, I'm fine with that.
I'm just kidding.
Jake,
Chris
it's not
Martin.
our first pod question because
Martin's
we didn't get the first pod questions in because we didn't record.
Chris
So-
Martin is the greatest lyricist of our time. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh,
Ed
man.
Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran, yeah.
I mean on the binary, what you're saying. I
Sam
guess I
Smith,
can under-
who is Sam Smith, non-binary human being.
If I had to pick between the two, I'd pick Bob Dylan. Okay, but I don't have a good answer.
I
to
will
back it
say.
up.
So I will say though, like and this is kind of the reason why I think it is Bob Dylan, because if you look at it, there are people who do Bob Dylan songs better than him because
Yeah.
his music, you know what I'm saying? Like All Around the Watchtower is a great Bob Dylan song, but you know who did it better? Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah, Jimi
Like,
Hendrix, obviously.
You know,
Yeah.
like there's
Jack White does a
and
good
it-
cover of a Hank Williams song.
Yeah, there are
Which
lots
one?
of good covers of Hank Williams songs too, but it's not. It's not.
I
quite
just
as
mean
covered.
like if you remix it and turn like again using that same example, All Around the Watchtower, it's a completely different song when Jimi Hendrix does
Yeah.
it. It's not even close to the same. Now a song like To Make You
Right.
Feel My Love, it sounds exactly the same, Garth Brooks to Bob Dylan, but not.
Yeah.
But like certain ones like that, A Hard Rain is Gonna Fall, same thing. Bob Dylan's Hard Rain and the other one. That is, I can't even remember who's done it. The one, it's a hard rain. You know, it's a completely different style. So
Great
the fact
Can
that
I
Bob
get that
Dylan,
again? Can you do that again for me?
I don't know, yeah. So the fact that you can take Bob Dylan, like that's why I think that's why I said Tom Waits, because like Tom Waits is awesome, but like listen to the Blind Boys of Alabama's Way Down in the Hole is way better than his version of Way Down the Hole. Like, and it's completely
Yeah.
different. So, I mean.
Is Tom Waits
Yeah.
ever going to make a new album, Midnight Mark?
No, why does he need to? He's really old.
I mean,
and
I guess he
can't
doesn't
sing.
need to, but I would like him to.
All
Also,
right,
you've been
so I'm
Yeah,
gonna
we
cut
can
in.
talk
I'm gonna
songwriters
cut
later.
in.
Do it.
I'm gonna cut in between these guys. I actually submitted a question to preach a couple weeks ago, I
Yeah.
guess, when we were first doing this.
Probably
And
forgot
it's
it
not
already.
it's not a political question, but I guess it is a very thought-provoking question, and it's something that I've been thinking about, especially since a couple of weeks ago, Box Magu sent out a text about Remember the Titans. Great movie, correct? I think we all can agree that Remember the Titans is a fantastic movie. Great, great morals, just a great, great word of thought for everyone to keep in mind about racism. But I do think since then, other movies have come out that aren't along the same lines as Remember the Titans, and where unity is brought up. I think that some of these movies and some of these entertainers are trying to push a certain view about, you know, racism that probably isn't unifying as the country. So my question, I guess, just
Like what, Black
to put.
Panther? Just kidding.
No, well, no, no, but well, I mean, are we talking about Black Panthers or the Black Panther? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
I watched
okay,
the.
so my
No,
question
he's
is
talking about the
this.
movie Black Panther.
No, I think Black Panther is a good movie that has good morals. But my question is this:
I
Are
watched it
movies
recently. I thought it was
about
kind of commie garbage, but whatever.
are movies about racial differences good or bad for the United States, for our country?
They're good.
Even the ones that push an agenda of violence.
Listen, I mean, I think bringing people together. Wait, of violence.
Well,
Give
I
me
mean,
an example.
any Malcolm X Black Panther movie that has had people in it who are prejudiced. What I'm trying to say is that today, for me, I don't really want to get into this. I don't really want, now that we're recording this, I don't
I
really
think
want to
okay.
kind of
So I
push
think I know.
my point of view. It's
I
a
think I know.
question
I
to you
think.
guys.
So
Hey.
I think I know what you're saying, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
compare it to something I just watched. So I'm not spoiling anything, but I just finished the second season of The Boys, and in that show they do a really 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 good job of doing female superheroes and making you feel like female superheroes are like awesome, without it being like the MCU where they line up all the girls and it's like girl power and like one shot, like the women in The Boys, this they're developed better than a lot of the men superheroes in that show. And there's a specific scene in one of the episodes where when all the women are like fighting together, I looked at my wife and I said, "See, this is how you do it, because it's not like girl power, like it's not this like dumb thing. It's like these are just really well developed characters that happen to be on the screen at the same time." So, like, whereas with the way the MCU did it, it was like, let's throw all the women together in one scene when they wouldn't necessarily be on the battlefield at the same time, just to get like a headshot of all the women. Like, look at us. We're so good. We have women superheroes. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
you're talking about the Avengers. You're talking
I'm
about.
talking about Avengers Endgame.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
is that what you're
JBM
saying? Is that what you're
JBM's raising
saying?
hand.
What was Jake's question? And what
Jake's question
exactly-
is: Are
This
movies-
is-
No, but you're
Are-
talking about from the race. So he's talking about the race relation. So how?
Yeah, so
Remember the
you're
Titans-
basically saying how when the Avengers, the women were kind of pushing an agenda for women to have
Women.
more of their own like rights, which
Like no,
women
like look
have
how
just
It's not a
cool. Look how
minority.
look
With-
how great.
yeah,
Look how
it's
great
not,
we
but-
are for having women as
but
superheroes.
civil
That's
rights
what they're
and,
doing.
and women rights are definitely, I feel like, more prevalent today than ever. So why even push that agenda when they have the same rights as men? I mean,
Right.
again, I
I
don't
think
want to
what
give.
you're saying,
I
what
think
you're
what-
saying is
I think-
Remember
yeah.
the Titans does a really good job of doing civil rights without pushing like a white hate agenda, right?
Yes,
Whereas, like
yes.
some other movies push civil rights where it's white man bad, black man good.
Which
Right.
brings me to the point where black people could watch these movies and think this is how it used to be. This could be how it is still today. Bringing up these thoughts to them where Again, I don't know because I'm not black, so I can't say that that racism and discrimination still exists because I can't say that it does. But what I can say is, are movies that push that agenda good? Are movies that show the past good for people of color to watch and maybe get upset about and kind of revolt, maybe like they are right now?
Jake says, "Don't let people of color get the wrong idea."
Okay, so you're talking more like the movie that can help. Okay.
JB, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. JB.
I am of the opinion that any movie that is made that is based on historical fact is in fact a good thing, unless it
I think more knowledge of history is
misrepresents
good,
something. But I think that is good. Now, I don't know about like dystopian futures or like alternate universes where things are different or the other way around. I don't know that those things are good. Like the movie that came out, The Hunt or whatever, about the liberal people that hunt like Trump supporters. Like, I don't think
awesome.
that's good.
I thought that looked awesome. It looked like a right-wing movie.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm still confused because I feel like the original question was whether or not unity in movies was a good thing, but then it turned into should white people be portrayed as bad in movies?
Well,
No.
I mean, no. It's more or less, okay. And I think Travis actually brought kind of said something that made sense to me, bringing up past history of, for example, the Nazis, right? Like, the Nazis were awful, and I don't think Germany really wants to be associated with the Nazis at all, but the fact that they still produce movies where they show these historical, I guess, bad things that happen is good for us is a good thing for them to do, because us as a society needs to see that and realize that we shouldn't even think about going back to that at all, like, period, end of story. I want peace and unity, so I do think that showing movies of that, like Remember the Titans, is a good thing to do, rather than showing movies where it pushes, I guess, hate and racism.
Well,
Do you think like
anyone could
Man in the
disagree with
High
that.
Castle, a movie about like the Nazis won the war, or a show? Do you think that's bad? Like so HBO was going to
I
create a series
disagree
called
that peace and
Confederacy.
unity is good.
What?
Well, like so HBO was going to create a show called Confederacy.
Anarchist
Hold
over
on, I
here.
need to go
What-
back.
what-
I want to go back
All
to
right,
Paul's comment. What does that mean?
What did Paul
You don't
just
I
say?
think
mean, I don't think
peace
the
and
federal
unity
government
is good?
exists, so I mean,
You
more
do know who
chaos
Jesus
and
Christ was,
disunity is
right?
great.
You are preacher Paul, right?
I mean,
peace and
peace
unity
is
is a
good.
bad thing.
Peace is good. Political unity is not good, I would say.
Political
That's
unity
interesting.
sounds a whole lot like communism.
I completely mixed up
shouldn't
what you
even
were
be
saying about
politics.
like the whole Black Panther thing. By the way, I thought what you were saying is that a movie like Remember the Titans is good because it shows civil rights and race relations and that kind of stuff, and it doesn't push like one specific thing. It just shows history and how it can be a good thing to unify. Whereas like some other movies basically are like, certain people are just evil. Like I don't know how I feel about that. You know what I mean? So I think I get what you're saying.
So let's
But I
just
mean, even
okay.
if-
For
even
example,
if-
I've never seen them. I've not seen a movie like this. And I'm sure that there are movies. I think that this new movie that's coming out about the Black Panthers could be with what I'm describing. But let's just say a movie comes out, or there is a movie where it shows, and I mean there's plenty of movies that have this, where it shows people who discriminate against the black people in a racist with a racist agenda, right? And people that watch this movie, so I guess you could look at it in two different ways. So people that watch this movie could think, I never want to go back to that, and I never want to treat people that way. Or people could go in and watch it and say, wow, I can't believe people treated me that way. For one, I want, reparations, but for two, I want people to know that, that this is wrong, and I'm going to fight when there's nothing to fight about, because I don't think that racism like that exists anymore. It's putting something into their head that shows how it used to be, and that people might think that that's how it still is. Does that kind of make sense?
If a movie
you
makes you think
Yeah.
it's reality, though,
movies
I
do
don't have-
that, Walker, or Piano Man. That's what movies are for.
to make you think it's reality.
To
I don't watch the
especially
Avengers and I'm like, oh, that's real.
historical movies.
Yeah, but when I watch
No,
a
well,
historical
not-
movie, I
not
don't say,
the-
oh, that's still
not
happening.
the-
I don't watch
Not
a
the
World War II.
literalness, but
Okay, listen,
but the morality behind it.
I don't watch a World War II movie and I go, oh, that's still happening.
Midnight Mark, go. Travis is passed out. I mean, GBM is passed out. No, never mind.
No, but like, why can't you watch a movie of a historical event
You-
and not realize that that's not happening?
Right.
You can,
so
Walker,
your
but
theory,
that's what I'm saying.
Your
You
theory
can.
is that like
Most people-
a black person can watch 12 Years a Slave and be like, oh shoot, are they still doing this?
Yeah,
No, maybe not quite that far back.
but that's kind of what you're saying.
I think that like.
Okay, well, that's
we
my
need to be-
question. Is that the case? Does that happen? If y'all disagree, then great. Then that's
Yeah.
okay. Then that's
Well, I know.
then
I
showing
think
these
Because
what
like
you're
I
describing-
so I personally don't like Spike Lee, but I thought the movie Black Klansman was pretty good. So I mean, so no, I would disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
I think that like I think you got to take every movie on its merits. I do think that the thing you're describing, Red, does happen. Where like there are some movies that are very invested in sort of digging up old grievances historically, but I also think we got to be careful about like, or I try to be careful about like trusting that like yeah, like a lot of people are dumb, but I mean people can watch. Most people, I think, like Walker, I think was, I mean, like Piano Man was saying, I think can separate a movie from their reality. I mean, obviously sometimes crazy people can't. But I mean, I think generally, if people are like socially upset and sympathetic with causes like the Black Panthers, it probably has to do with things besides just like the kinds of movies that they're watching. Like
That's a
you
good
gotta be
point.
kind of
I agree with
indoctrinated
you.
into that ideology.
And
Yeah.
maybe they have had some sort of discrimination against them, and that kind of just intensifies what they've
Right.
been through before. I can see that. I really can. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying
I
to say that
mean-
these movies are bad. I'm just asking to see what your opinions are, and
JB
change my mind.
On a related note, some guy watched The Dark Knight and then went to a theater dressed like he was the Joker and started killing people.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
true.
Violence in movies have gotten out of control.
I got
But
a
do you,
question
you
that
think
I know.
do you think there's a correlation? You're one of the
I-
people that believes that there's a correlation between
Yeah, I don't
violence
think
and
that there's-
violence in movies and violence in real life. I'm not like accusing you. I'm asking you that.
Are you
was
talking to
actually
JVM?
I was
I'm
trying to
talking
make a
to you.
joke because
Oh, okay. Never mind.
It was a
Whatever.
real joke. That's
I want a new
struck me
question
to the heart.
from Piano
Yeah,
Man.
obviously, I said most people can separate a movie from reality. Obviously, sometimes people are crazy.
I got a question that I know for a fact will wake up Juice Box Magu over here.
All right, let's do it.
All right, assuming that the New York Times report was correct from a couple weeks ago about Trump's tax returns, would it be, assuming it's correct, I know that it could not be, but assume that as a baseline, is it okay for Trump to have paid nothing in taxes for 10 of the last 15 years and barely paid anything the other 5 years?
if I could do that, I would.
Yeah, okay. But do you think it's fair?
I think unless he broke a law, I think it's totally fair.
I think fair is overrated. Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think if he did something illegal, that's different. But I also feel like if he did, the IRS would be all over him right now. So
Can,
Yeah.
can I ask a question about that? Why
Yeah,
is
go
it
ahead.
that they are? So why are they making it? So why does the media make it seem like the fact that he's not paying taxes 10 of the last 15 years a bad thing? Shouldn't their spin be the reason he didn't pay 10 of the last 15 years is because he's actually a bad businessman that loses money? Shouldn't that be their spin?
Yeah, I mean that would make more sense, I think.
Well,
But
I guess maybe I should phrase the question a little differently this time. Do you think it's fair that he pays less in taxes than you do?
I don't look at it straight across like that. Because
Yeah,
on its face it would certainly feel that way. Yeah.
Income tax.
But
He pays more taxes. They literally are just talking about income tax. And people in Texas pay less income tax than I do because
Yeah,
there is no
nothing.
income tax. Yeah, exactly.
there
So
should
yeah,
be
I
no
mean,
income tax.
That's-
There
no,
was
but
no
this is-
income
this
tax
is
until
his-
like the 40s.
No, but this is his federal. Which
So he
everyone
paid
pays.
nothing in taxes, like you're saying, not even income. I didn't look at it. I haven't looked at it.
It was
'cause I
his
could give a
federal
crap
tax
less.
return, not his state tax return.
right. But he paid nothing in federal income taxes, or like
In-
$700.
Income, though.
Didn't the Times
Yeah, but
also
people-
have within that same article? Didn't it also have in there where he had paid like $24 million one year and $32 million one year, but then at the end of the year he wrote some things off to get
Yeah.
credits?
Something similar to that, yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
I don't
I
know.
mean-
I have no problem with it if, I mean, literally every year when I go to my tax guy, I just like start making stuff up to see if there's ways we can save money. I'm like, well, what if we did this? And he's like, well, that would be illegal. And I'm like, okay, well, what about this?
I mean, everyone tries to pay less, but you would anticipate that if someone's a multimillionaire, that they would pay more than you, even if they tried to find loopholes.
So is the real
Not in
question
real
that
estate.
we literally
Not
just
in
need
real
to change
estate.
our
Real
tax
estate,
reform
yeah.
so much that someone like Trump can't do that, but we
Right.
can do it. Right. I think yes. I think that would be fine.
But I
Yeah,
mean,
I
like-
think it exposes a problem within the tax system. I just don't think there's anything wrong with it, as long as it was legal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean,
Yeah,
I do. I know. I really do
And
think.
I
I think the federal government should look at Trump's last 15 years and say, how do we make this not happen for the? Because not just Trump that this happens to. Trump's not the only billionaire. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like,
Well, I
they
think that
should-
was the. I think that was the point Ann Coulter was making when she was like, the standard Republican take on this shouldn't be that Trump is smart. It's not that like he is. He took advantage of all the tax tax liability or write-offs that he could, but it's like the average person is going to be like, why can't I do that? Yeah.
Yeah, what's funny is I did hear lots of Republicans make the same argument that Zach made. Is like somehow if you pay less in taxes, that makes you way smarter of a businessman. So then when he comes out and says he actually paid a lot in taxes, are they going to make the same argument and say, oh, he's a terrible businessman because now he paid such and such dollars in taxes?
Right.
Because that's what you'd have to say if your argument was he's a good businessman because he didn't pay taxes.
Makes sense.
So Zach, you're
Well-
willing to say that?
willing to. I mean,
I don't think he heard what I said.
yeah. No, yeah. I mean, I think Trump should pay more in taxes, but that is literally not even remotely a reason why I wouldn't vote for him. And
Yeah.
I think that the one thing Trump will never do is say, "Hey, this is a problem. We should fix it." Because the one thing I do believe, one of the criticisms of Trump is that like he's not going to change anything that government that hurts him financially, long term.
Can I ask
I really don't think
Piano Man something?
Yeah.
Do you want to be more like Trump and not have to pay as much taxes and find loopholes to defeat, paying taxes?
Or what's the alternative?
Paying taxes.
Yeah, I'd rather not pay taxes.
Okay.
But I don't think
So
it's
if
fair that somebody who makes
if-
way more than
if-
me pays less than me.
But
Which
I
was
will
the
say
question?
this: if Trump did find a way to legally pay less taxes
Than me?
than anyone legally, then he is just a genius. If it is illegal, then I will
No,
definitely
he's not a
say,
genius. He just has a good accountant. Yeah.
okay, well then he has a good accountant. But I will say
Yeah,
that if
I
it
don't
is
think
illegal,
Trump's out here doing his own tax returns.
well, no,
Yeah.
but I will say that if it is illegal, then it's wrong, and he should be charged for that.
I mean, I also am the person who thinks that it's like the dumbest thing in the world that like Kamala Harris thinks it's like a badge of honor that she paid like 30% of her income in taxes. Like that to me, I'm
That's
like,
what everyone does, though.
that's
Yeah.
the dumbest thing. Like, yeah,
But
I mean,
if any of
but
us
I
can
don't
find a way
understand
not to,
yeah,
then more
exactly.
power to them. Like,
Yeah,
geez,
I don't know why we're
good for
flaunting
Trump.
that. Like,
Or we could,
Yeah,
could all be like John McAfee and leave the United States because we just don't feel like paying income tax and just troll in international waters for the rest of our lives.
As a society, this doesn't necessarily have to mean politically. It could, I guess, if you wanted it to.
Stop
But
me
as
right
a
at
society,
no, I'm just kidding.
on a scale from 1 to 10, 1 being, well, let's say on a scale from 1 to 10, where are we as a society on 1 to 10? 1 being it's 1776 and we just founded the country, and 10 being 2019's film The Joker.
I don't.
What's your
being what
question?
again?
More similar to 1776 than.
Oh, you're just talking about in like anarchy and just morality and policing and
What is our
just
country
all of
more
that?
like? If that was a scale, where do we fall?
Well, there's a lot more, too much freedom in both of those scenarios.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I
pick
wouldn't know.
one in the
We're
middle,
definitely not. Yeah, I'd say more in the middle because we're way
With more
far
government.
away.
Right,
Are you trying to say
Joker
that-
is yeah?
Are you trying to say that? Are you trying to say the Joker, or are you trying to say the Dark Knight Rises and Bane and how the people like are like in their own little society of just I mean
Their
I mean, I
bubble
feel
where
like
they
that's-
can't- their
that's
bubble
along
where
the
they
way,
can't go
right?
to work or go outside.
yeah,
I
they're
feel
being
like that.
controlled by
like-
an outside
yeah.
like our anarchists,
Like COVID.
right?
Okay. Yeah. I mean,
So
I think
COVID is
that could be on the journey, because like you think about the journey of a civilization, the beginning of it here was, hey, everybody had freedom, but they were responsible enough for the most part to accept it and the responsibilities that came with it. And then by the end, after there is war and after society is torn down, you have
Rebuild.
yeah, but it's just like a frantic freedom where everything is totally nuts until it all settles back down and you get to start over.
Well, if that's your question, then I'd say it's like 8 out of 10.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, and I get your question, and let's just say it is an 8. What are you saying? What do you think is going to happen, in your opinion? And I honestly think I know your answer because you said it in 2030. We better have plenty of land, right, by 2030.
Well, I don't know if it's that soon. Someone told me a specific year. I have no idea. I do think that
Nostradamus?
I think by the time we're dead, that we're going to, I don't know, the United States is going to look a lot different than it does now. Like, I think we'll have city-states, like, all over, kind of like we were all texting about the other day, where you have communities of people and you find the one that, you more or less identify with the most.
Yeah.
For a sense of community. And I think that we'll have like hundreds of these city-states across the country, and there will be pockets of conservative people and pockets of crazy people. And like we had talked about with like pedophilia and stuff like that, I think that's where we're headed. I don't know when. I'm not saying it's in 10 years, but I think we're headed there.
I'm going to say I think Texas is going to be a well-run, self-sufficient nation. I think California is going to be a really crappy one. So
Why are you there then? Preach.
I'm getting out soon.
Can I make a crazy statement? This is like Juice Box Magu level crazy.
Yeah,
I think
let's
Trump
go.
will be the last president.
Wow.
Wow.
I was
That is a
thinking about that
crazy
today,
statement.
as a matter of fact, Walker.
It's definitely
I
not
think-
impossible.
After I saw all these people come out and cheering "Love You" at him, did y'all see that?
No.
So he did another rally at the White House, mind you. And apparently he has COVID, but all these people are out there and they start chanting, "We love you, we love you, we love you." And he's like, "I love you too." Like I could see Trump trying to go for a third term. I could see it.
Yeah, that's not really what I meant.
he probably will. Yeah. And that's not what
You-
Walker meant either.
Wait, what
Are
did
you saying
mean?
the system of like checks and balances is just going to crumble?
Yeah, I already gave you guys this theory. It might be on one of our mini episodes. I don't remember, but I really don't think that.
Oh,
the
you think
Supreme
like
Court-
Nancy Pelosi is going to rule?
No, I don't think the Supreme Court. Yeah, if Nancy Pelosi is the one ruling, that's how you know it's over.
Let me ask you guys this question: What
so-
would it take?
Well, hold on.
And not,
Let
not
Piano
wa-
Man
whoa,
finish.
Walker, let Walker-
whoa!
What are you
Let Piano
doing,
Man go.
What are you
Midnight?
doing
Midnight
over
Mark
there?
just loves to start
Midnight
talking in
Mark.
the middle of my sentence, like every time.
He's
You
like,
said you
you're
said
like
Nancy
halfway done with
Pelosi
your
and I got
question,
bored.
and he's like, "All right, yeah, let me ask you this."
Okay.
I
Piano Man.
No, well, I really don't think that the Supreme Court replacement is going to get like
Accepted.
what's the word? Confirmed.
Confirmed.
And I think there's going to be this huge ballot deal, like late ballots going to come in. The Supreme
Right.
Court's going to have to decide the election, and it's going to be a split court. And
No,
like,
it won't. Isn't it
how
right
will it
now?
not? It's split
Isn't it right
now?
now? There's 6. It's 4 to
I
4 to
promise
3.
you, it's going to be
No.
split.
Oh,
if that
shoot,
happens.
yeah.
No,
you're right.
there are only 8 justices, and it could very easily be a 4-4 split.
It could very
So then-
easily be a 5-3 liberal leaning too, because
It could, but it might not be.
It will be a 4-4.
It would probably be a 4-4, like I would think.
And if that's the case, it would be
If the-
Nancy, correct?
No, I don't get why it would be Nancy, because no one
well,
would
if that's
be
the
voted
case,
in.
The
yeah,
House
but
of
if that's the
Representatives,
case, they
well,
decide,
She
right?
would definitely try to seize as much power in that case as possible.
Well, yeah, but if you
But-
think about it, if the court decides and the court literally cannot decide, then when his term is over, what happens?
That's my point.
I think like literally at that point, Nancy Pelosi would just be in charge.
What? How is
no,
that?
she wouldn't just be in charge.
She's third
I-
in line, and the first two dudes' term is over.
Yeah, but they
No.
can't say it's over because they haven't decided the next one. Like, it's just like chaos.
No, I think, but doesn't it actually go to the House of Representatives if the Supreme Court can't make a determination, or if the Supreme Court ties?
I think Mike Pence gets to decide.
I wonder who will decide.
I don't know, but in that scenario though, you could very easily see Trump just saying, "Nah, I'm not giving it up," and you can't make
Yeah,
me
exactly.
legally.
And then it's just
And then-
serious chaos.
And then, like, he basically is just president if he wants to be. Like, at that point, it just comes down to who's like the army behind. Like,
Well, that's a good point.
So it
I
might
mean-
be closer than we thought.
I mean, it could be. I'm not saying it isn't. It could be.
yeah.
If
I don't
this
know.
happens, then we're going to be a 10 from Travis's original question.
Yep. And we're not that far from it.
That was why I asked the question.
We could also, but I mean,
Dude, that's a lot.
probably-
This is.
This is what I'm
At
saying.
the
We need to
same
get
time-
land.
it's
And
much
at the
more
same
likely
time,
though,
they're
that we
trying
just
to
get President
defund the
Joe Biden.
police. So, no law
Yeah.
enforcement either. This is going to be
No,
crazy.
there'll be federal. There'll be
Yeah, it'll
like
be
federal
worse.
law enforcement.
It'll be Trump's
It'll
police.
be nuts.
The military police will come in.
It's horrible. Everything about it is terrible.
I think
None of it's good.
it's probably just going to be President Joe Biden, guys. I hate to say it, but
No, not if it's going to be mail-in and everyone claims fraud everywhere. I'm telling you.
yeah, but we'll just.
Well, you're going to
No,
end
I
up
agree.
with places that literally have like more people vote than live there. And
Yeah.
then they're going to say it's illegitimate. Because that happened in Detroit last year. Or in the last election. Like, you're going to have that more and more, regardless of who's cheating. if the Republicans are trying
So
to
do
use
you
it to
think
cheat
do you
too.
think Trump is planning on just because they've made a point of this in the media of asking him if he would commit to the peaceful transition of power, and I get why he's answering the way he does. But do you think he's literally just planning like I'm not going to give up, like I'm not going to contest the election no matter what, or I'm not going to give,
Like
I'm
he's
not
gonna
going
be
to like. Do you
like
think he
he's gonna
has
be
in his head? I'm
Scarface,
just going to
just sitting
say
up
I
in the
win
White House.
no matter what happens. Yeah. Midnight Mark.
No, he just popped a thing up on like with our time. I was just like
Right.
kind of.
Now you had a question
Gotcha.
earlier though. What was your question?
Thought you had-
Oh, I mean, it doesn't really apply to some of our libertarian people, but like, what? Oh, I guess it does. So, what makes you want to vote for somebody? So, like, if you're a Republican on here, is there anything that would make you let you vote for a Democrat? The reason why I'm thinking about this is like, Mitch McConnell is a piece of garbage, but like, I don't really want to vote for Amy McGrath, and I constantly think all day long, like, what would it take for me to just vote against Mitch McConnell? Because I just don't like him. I don't think he's good for the state of Kentucky at all, and I don't really think he's that good of a senator in general. So, what would it take for you guys to vote opposite of what you would normally vote? And I'll start with Walker because he's always up in the air with his vote.
I mean, it's just a lot of factors. Typically, my number one for me is the economy. And if I feel like someone's actually has more free trade or a fairer system than, or I shouldn't really say fairer system because that's relative. But what I think is a better system, then I'll vote for them. However, like recently I was considering voting for Trump because of what the Democrats did during the last 4 years as the Trump presidency. And I know if he was the president again, I figured they would just totally fall apart because, I mean, they already should have fallen apart after trying to impeach him and trying to just they don't do anything productive, and I'm surprised people still vote for Democrats.
Right.
And I wanted their demise to be quicker, even though I'm not pro-Republican. But yeah.
All right, Red. What would be a way for you to vote Democrat? Because I mean, you would mostly vote for Republican. So what would make you vote Democrat?
I mean, honestly, I never would. I never would. I just after what happened in the last I mean, now that I've opened my eyes to politics and kind of going along with what happened with Paul, and I'm sorry to steal your thunder, Paul, but after what happened with Kavanaugh and what the Democrats did to try to not confirm him as a justice, it just really opened my eyes to the corruption that that they pursue pretty much, and the power that they pursue. At the same time, I feel like anyway, I won't get into it. I don't think I could ever push that way, and I guess just as a typical Republican answer, the way that they want to abort children is definitely just not in my book. So if they ever got away from that stance, then maybe I would consider it, but at this point
So you would vote for a pro-life.
never.
You would vote for a pro-life Democrat.
If you can find one.
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
And that follows up with
well,
the question I wanted Preacher Paul to ask, the one I sent you.
I could, but then again, going along the lines of what Piano Man said, they would have to agree with a lot of my stances. With do they push big government? Do they push more taxes? Things of that sort. So
that right there is my point, though. What you just said, that you'd have to what if you found a pro-life Democrat, but like literally. As it stands right now, Bernie Sanders said that if you are pro-life, you have no place in the Democratic Party. So, I mean, I guess that disqualifies me, right?
It'll never happen.
Well, I mean, that's just something Bernie Sanders said, but...
Yeah, I mean, I would.
I mean, he is a leader of the Democratic Party.
But yeah. I mean, it's very difficult. I would think it would be extremely difficult to be a pro-life Democrat at this point. I mean, basically everyone in the party would work against you at all points because you held that one opinion. It wouldn't be worth it.
I just hate the words pro-life and pro-choice because people have different lines of what that even means. But I'm not.
Yeah. They're stand-ins, but I mean, yeah.
You just say it just to say it, so you get somebody's vote.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sure Trump doesn't technically believe fully in pro-life. I mean,
what does that
not
mean?
not that I'm speaking on behalf of Trump. I'm not his
what does fully pro-life mean?
Press secretary. Well, it's not aborting a baby in any way from conception up until birth, in my opinion.
Word.
Yep.
So let's do something not about aborting babies at the end of the show.
Let's do that. Do you have any quick takes?
Okay, so this comes from Midnight Mark. This is a good idea. So, if you maybe this is a better thing than my question about Dylan and Hank Williams earlier. Like, your singer-songwriter Mount Rushmore. Like, specifically, singer-songwriter Mount Rushmore. You get 4 picks. Midnight Mark, go first.
So if I'm making a Mount Rushmore of like who
don't explain it, just literally tell us your 4.
I'm just thinking. I'm trying to think about it, like, because I literally this popped up in my head. I mean, probably Bob Dylan, Tom Waits. I don't know. I mean, of I don't know. Elton John for sure.
He was not a songwriter.
Him and
Bernie Taupin.
Bernie Taupin wrote every single song in the day. Yeah, so Bob
Taupin
Dylan, Tom Waits,
song.
The musical arrangements. He writes the lyrics. Yeah. So what?
So you got to give a head for if it's a singer-songwriter Mount Rushmore though.
And Paul McCartney.
Give a head for Elton John
and Elton John, Paul McCartney, Tom Waits, and Bob Dylan would be my 4.
All right, and then I guess an honorable mention for Bernie Taupin there. Okay, so what about Piano Man?
I don't think I could do it.
You couldn't
without
do
making
it?
a fool out of myself.
This is
just off the top of my head.
For me. Off the top of my head, mine would be like Dylan, Hank Williams, Jeff Buckley, Nick Cave. That's my Mount Rushmore. And yeah. I mean, I'm obviously leaving a bunch off, but those are my 4 favorites.
Taylor Swift. That's not funny, dude. I'm serious.
I was
I'm
thinking
serious,
Britney
though.
Spears.
Taylor Swift is a good singer-songwriter.
If it's just songwriters, can I put Eminem?
Probably, honestly, Billy Joel. And I know y'all make fun of me for that one, too. But Chris Martin.
Nah, Billy Joel's got some tight songs.
Chris Martin, too. I'm putting Chris Martin.
Yeah, that's pretty...
So Taylor Swift, Billy Joel, Chris Martin, and
Bob Dylan.
What? Tom Petty.
Ooh, I like that.
It's a good one, dude.
All right, JBM, who's your 4?
I mean, Michael Jackson. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did he write his own songs? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Um,
Him and Quincy.
I totally forgot about Prince.
I mean, I don't know. I feel like it depends exactly what we're talking about, singer songwriter or whatever. Because like Whitney Houston is obviously amazing, right? Like,
Yeah.
but I'm not saying that's like my favorite music. I don't know.
Oh, you
And
know who I just
obviously,
thought
I
of?
think who's that?
David Bowie. I like him.
That's
Yeah, I
it.
forgot about. How did I forget about Bowie too? Man, my Mount Rushmore now seems offensive.
I mean,
I'd have to
I don't
take
know. I
Jeff
just feel like
Buckley
there's a
off
lot of
and
people.
Put David Bowie on.
What about Marvin Gaye?
Mhm.
That's
I
a
don't
good
think
one.
he's
I don't
on
know.
mine.
Yeah, I don't think he would make mine either. But
What about Anthony Kiedis?
I mean, if the question
it's got to be on
was-
Travis's mouth.
Oh,
I mean,
dude, what about Garth Brooks?
He doesn't write any of his songs though.
Yeah, he didn't
Did he
write
not
many
write
of his
them?
own songs. I
Not
don't
very
think.
many of them, no.
You know who did though? George Strait.
George Strait.
Does he?
I don't know, but George
I
Strait.
think he wrote some,
Probably
probably more
not.
than Garth Brooks did.
But I mean, if Elton John is on Zach or Midnight Mark's list,
I mean,
then
Willie Nelson is great.
Yeah, I mean, I consider Elton John a singer-songwriter, but I mean,
but he like
about-
openly didn't write any of the songs that are his hits.
What about Ed Sheeran? We said Ed Sheeran earlier.
What about it?
yeah, and no, Ed Sheeran. Ed Sheeran's a good one because.
What about
I mean,
Chris
he's
Brown?
He's a modern-day singer-songwriter.
Chris Brown.
Chris
boy.
Brown.
How could I
Jay-Z,
forget?
dude. What about Jay-Z?
All right, Red. Who's yours? Who would be?
I
in
have
your
no
top four?
idea. Tom Petty, Miley Cyrus, Dolly Parton.
Cardi B.
If Miley writes her own, Miley's pretty good.
I think we can all agree that part
And
of
Ed
the
Sheeran.
USA.
I mean, I don't know.
Did you guys ever really reflect on the fact that it took there were 5 credited songwriters for WAP?
Oh my goodness.
5 people worked on that song.
You are obsessed with.
Oh,
that.
I forgot one
regular
that you
Ben
all
Shapiro, yeah.
that you all will agree with. Rebecca Black.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
She's got to be up there.
One of a
All
kind.
right, well, I think now that we've invoked Rebecca Black, that's officially the end of the podcast because we're...
I'd just like
Oh,
to
no.
throw a quick apology for not recording the first hour or however long it was, and it was really.
Oh,
bad,
you guys
and I'm
forgot a
sorry.
good one, by the way. Bob Marley.
Oh yeah,
I
No,
forgot.
no, we didn't. We didn't forget.
Three
a good
Little
one.
Birds.
Dude, don't hate on Bob Marley. You're just a big whitey.
Three Little Birds. is
Bro,
one of my
your favorite band is Red Hot Chili Peppers, and like
How are you going to
Bob
hate
Marley
on Bob
has to
Marley?
be one of their biggest influences. What?
Yeah.
All right, so ever since I saw, what was that one Will Smith movie? The last one I saw, I Am Legend, and he sings.
That's the last one.
He sings Bob Marley songs in it. Yeah, I've never seen a Will Smith movie since then. It was the first movie I ever paid for. I thought it was garbage. It also made me hate Bob Marley in the process.
Hey, man! You know I was up in my room listening to my Will Smith CD when I heard all the noise.
Paul, you want to give a quick shout out? End it out.
Shout out to Chris Christie. He may die of the COVID. So
Hey, don't date the podcast like that.
Why not? Why not?
I'm just kidding.
Piano Man.
I mean, it comes back. It comes back. Now, someone in the future listens to it, they're going to be real confused.
Yeah, so that's been the Magic in the Attic podcast. Say goodbye to Red, L-O-L-A Lola, to Midnight Mark, to Box Magu, to Piano Man. I'm Preacher Paul. Peace out.
The magic in the attic is back at it again. You just chill into the rhythm, and then the beat comes in. Sit right back and just have a good time. Listen to the music and let your feelings fly. Grab one of your friends and just sing and dance till the night ends in sweet romance. Cause all that I'm trying to do is have a good time. All that I'm trying to do is have a good time. Going strong, we can't stop now. We're doing this all night long. Cause I just want to laugh it all away. Cause I get this feeling that it is going to stay. 'Cause all that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time. All that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time. It's a beautiful day outside, so come play. Soak up the sun and don't think about the things of the day. Thinking about you all that I can, running in circles around and around in my head. All that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time. All that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time. All that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time. All that I'm trying to do is have a good, good time.